guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about why I am moving to Nashville, why my family is relocating. I mentioned this in my channel rebrand video, and a lot of you guys asked for me to elaborate on why we made this decision and what kinds of things were going through our head when we were making the decision to relocate our entire family from California to Nashville. You probably know this, but if you're new to my channel, you might not, but my family lives in Tennessee. I went to high school in Tennessee. I was not born there, but I did live there for a while in my youth before I went off to college. And I do go back there to visit my family every single year, sometimes several times a year. Alex and we have always talked about moving to Nashville. It is something that even when we were first dating, we would talk about how one day we were gonna move back to the South when we wanted to have a family. We talked about it, but it never really became a real thing that we were striving for until after James was born. We honestly were so happy here in Orange County, and we still are, and that's why it's such a hard decision for us. But we were pretty set on staying in Orange County for at least 5 more years. All of that went out the window when James was born, and I just truly realized how much I wanted to be closer to my family, how important it was to me to be closer to my family, and also Alex's family. We are very, very far removed from everyone out here in California. And it used to be that we had the flexibility in our work and in our schedules that we could get on a plane and go home anytime we needed to, but it's much more complicated when you have a baby, and especially because we want to have more children. I just know that the process of actually getting to our family when we needed to just becomes so much harder. And we actually purchased an RV, and we've used that RV to travel back and forth between Tennessee and California a few times because we have 3 cats and now we have a baby, and so every time we want to go for an extended period of time, the whole clan has to go, and it is not an easy drive. It takes 4 to 5 days to drive in an RV because it's not as fast as going in a car, and it is just not an easy process. And so when James was born, I really started getting this ache in my heart that I wanted to be closer to my family. And Alex and I started talking about moving to Tennessee sooner than originally planned, which was we had kind of said like, oh, let's stay in Orange County for 5 more years, maybe until James starts school at least. And all of that just got kicked out of the window, and we realized we want to move now. Like, we want to be in Tennessee right now. So we decided that the Nashville area, which is what we had always talked about, was the right area for us, even though it is a 4-hour drive from where my parents live in Tennessee. And you guys might be thinking, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't you just move to the town your parents live in? Well, my parents live in a very small town. I do think that while we're still young, being in a suburb of a city is just a lot more fun than being in a small town. We're just not quite there yet. We might never be there. We might always be suburbs of city type people versus small town people. When we actually started looking at the suburbs of Nashville and pinpointing the areas that we wanted to look at and then looking at the real estate available, we got so excited because the types of houses that are available within the budget we're looking at are just so beautiful and so much more bang for your buck than you get here in California. Obviously, California is one of the most expensive areas ever, and what money could get you in Orange County can get you much more in Nashville, Tennessee. So that is very exciting for us. We feel that we will be able to have a similar size house and type of house, but pay less for it and be financially in a better position. And that is something as an adult you have to look at and you have to consider. And so that was one of the big things. There are a lot of big reasons why this move makes sense for us. And one of them, not going in any particular order, but one of them is financially, it makes a lot more sense for us to be in Tennessee. Financially, it is just so much better in Tennessee. And also things like your property taxes and all of that is just so much less in Tennessee than it is in Orange County. All of those numbers are really going to add up. One of the second big key things that we've been talking about is the school district. And this is something that has been important to me since before I got pregnant, but really it wasn't until James was born that I really started thinking like, oh wow, like we need to make sure we're living in an area where either we have access to good private schools or more preferably we're in a good public school system. I went to public schools growing up. I did go to private school for some years in there. Going to a good public school system I think is great if you live in an area with a good public school system. So currently our house right now is not zoned for one that's super good. There's a really, really good one like right down the street. So if we stayed in Orange County, we would still probably need to move, or we would have to send him to private schools. Being in Nashville, in the areas we're looking at, are like the best public schools in Tennessee. I knew about this school system when I lived in Tennessee in another school system. Like, I knew that it was just a really, really good set of schools. And that is something that's really important for us, not just for James, but for any future kids that we have. We obviously want to prioritize education, and we want to make sure that we are settling down in an area that is going to be good for our kids. Another pro that I already touched on was we're going to be closer to family, both my family and his family, and that is incredibly important to us. I cannot wait to just be in a car ride away from my parents, to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to go spend the weekend in Kingsport, and we pack up the baby and we get in the car and we're there in 4 hours. We're there for dinner. Like, that to me is so amazing. And honestly, it takes 2.5 hours sometimes to get from my house to Blair's house right now. So 4 hours might sound like a lot to some of you, but to me, that is nothing. Like, that is like, I could do that every day if I needed to. Not that I'd ever put my life in a situation where I had to drive for 4 hours every day. But what I'm saying is, like, that is just not, that is nothing compared to the 4 to 5 day drive that we are all the way out here in California. So I'm like, I look forward to that so much. Along the same lines as being closer to family, we're also gonna be a lot closer to Destin. I think it's like a 6.5 hour drive to Destin, which is crazy because it's 12 hours from Kingsport to Destin, which is where my parents live. But because Nashville's like right above Destin, it's like a direct drive. Oh my gosh, when I found that out, that was like the nail in the coffin for Nashville, because I've been going to Destin my entire life. I don't know if you guys know this, but we actually do own a beach house in Destin, and we have been going there my entire life. My grandmother actually owned the house before we did, and my dad has been going there his entire life. It's actually where Alex proposed to me. So there are a lot of memories there, and I cannot wait to be in drivable distance where I can raise my kids there too. And that just makes me so happy, because again, we would have to either drive for several days or we would have to fly if we lived out here. And to be honest, since being out here in LA, I've gone to Destin maybe 3-4 times in the 10 years I've lived out here, and I am going to go every single summer, maybe several times a year when we live in Nashville, and that just makes me so happy. Another thing that makes me really happy about the houses that we're looking at in Nashville is that a lot of them have yards. They actually have green areas where your children can go out and have play sets or swing sets and actually run around and have outdoor time. Because right now, yes, we do have a park that we have access to, but our backyard is all stone. Basically, we have like a fireplace out there and a couple water features, but there's no grass. It's all like beautiful, but it's not kid friendly. And I just remember growing up with big yards, and I want to have a big fenced in yard where I can send the kids out to play and they're in a safe enclosed area with lots of room to run around and lots of toys, and they can get their outdoor time. And obviously parks and stuff are great. Hopefully there will be parks nearby too, but just having that available anytime they want is so important. Another thing, and one of the reasons why I waited to film this video after Blair filmed her video and put it up, is that Blair is also moving to Nashville. And it's so crazy how this happened, because like in a million years, I didn't think that we'd all be moving to Nashville together, but also it makes so much sense. Like, of course we're all moving together, because Blair and I moved out here to LA when this was like 10 years ago, and we moved out here together. We lived in an apartment together, then we got another apartment together, and then we got condos in the same building, and then we got houses across the street from each other. Like, we've never been separated. And well, I mean, except for when I went off to college and she was like still in high school, but I mean, like, since we've been out here, we have been two peas in a pod. And that was one of the big things keeping me from being excited about Nashville, is like the idea of leaving Blair and her being out here and me being in Nashville was mind-boggling to me. Like, I could not imagine that being a thing. And then Blair was like, you know what? She woke up one day, she was like, I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna go to Nashville. I'm gonna go to Belmont. And I was like, what? And then she's doing that. She applied, she got in, and she's going. Like, she's peacing out. She moves like next week. Like, she's gone. Like, I'm still sitting here trying to declutter my house and make these decisions, and she's like, I'm going to college, goodbye, I'll see you next week. And she's like gonna be in Nashville next week, like Skyping me, like, where are you? Like, I'm not even kidding. she's nuts. As much as I might be making this sound like it was a really easy decision for us, it really was not an easy decision. And a lot of that stems down to the fact that we love our house. We love our neighborhood. We love the area we're in. We love Orange County. We love the weather. We love our friends. Like, we love our life right here. And picking up and moving your life to a place you've never lived when you have such a good thing going is a very, very difficult decision. And it was something that we thought about for a very long time. It was not an instant decision. And it's something that we kind of, especially around Christmas, if you follow me on Instagram and you were watching my stories, we really had like a lot of back and forth around that time trying to make this decision. And it's still not an easy decision, even though I am currently in the midst of decluttering and packing up the house and kind of making those decisions and doing those steps in order to make this move happen. It still is not an easy decision. And there is part of me that really hopes that I don't regret selling this house. We love this house. Like, I cannot tell you how much we love this house. Like, I wish we could just pick up this house and put it in Nashville. Having a house that you love so much, having what you would consider your dream house, and then deciding to move away from it is never an easy decision. And the pros really do outweigh the cons in this case, but it doesn't make it any easier. It's still bittersweet to be leaving our situation and our life and our friends here. Having said that, as much as this is our dream house, I do think that we're going to be looking for slightly different things when we're looking for our house in Nashville. When we moved into this house, Alex and I were engaged. We were getting married that coming year, and we had a couple of things we were looking for in a house. We needed room for a growing sticker shop for my work. I needed a beauty filming room. Alex needed a music studio room, and we knew we needed a guest room. So we ended up with a house with a ton of bedrooms, but no play space because we didn't have kids and they weren't on our radar. So there is no loft area in this house. There is no play area. There's no den. This house is not a house I think that we would have considered as seriously if we had had kids or if we had been in the process of trying to have kids. But because we were engaged and like we were not thinking kids for a couple years, it was not even on our radar with this house. So one of the things we're looking for in a new house, in addition to a big yard and being in a good school district, is an area that can be the kids' play area. So either a loft or a den or a basement or something that can be a play area where they can have their toys everywhere and it's not all over the house and it doesn't stress me out and I don't have to be that stickler mom that's constantly making them put everything away. Not that I want them to be messy in the playroom, but you know what I mean? Like an area where they can just go ham and they can be kids and it can be their play area. All right, so now that I've gone over all of that, I did ask on Instagram if you guys had any questions specifically pertaining to my move to Nashville, and I got a bunch of questions, so I thought I would just answer a few at the end of this video. If you guys want to go ahead and sign off now, I will see you guys later. I've given you all of my thoughts and opinions on why we're moving, but I do want to answer a few questions. So the first question is, will you consider building a house so you get exactly what you want? Yes, Alex and I have considered building a house, and we have decided that we don't want to do it for the first house that we purchase. We want to go ahead and get out there. We are ready to start our lives out there. We're not going to go through the process of designing and building a home and having it be years out right now. That is something that we would consider in the future. And it's something we considered for this house, but it's just not the right time. And so we are not going to be doing that right now. The next question is, will you keep the employees you have in California? And the answer to that is that I let all of my girls know at the beginning of the year that we were at some point this year going to be moving to Nashville, and I did offer them jobs if they wanted to relocate, but because they're all local girls, none of them wanted to relocate. They all considered it and they were all kind of sad about it, but they all passed on that. But I did tell them that they would have at least 6 months, give or take, so they didn't have to go out and get jobs immediately. But I obviously told them that if they did do that, that I would completely understand and that they could go at any time with my blessing and with great reviews because they're all great girls. And a couple of them have already gone on their merry way. And so none of them are going to be staying on the team when we move to Nashville, but they have all been offered the opportunity. Someone said, why Tennessee? Why not Ohio? What makes Tennessee special to you? Well, my family lives in Tennessee. I did go to college in Ohio, so I figure that's where the why not Ohio, but I don't have any other draw to Ohio. I don't have any family members there. And Alex doesn't have any family members there. That would be really random if I was like, we're going to Ohio. So many of these questions are about Blair because she hadn't announced yet. So everyone was like, is Blair gonna be sad you're moving? Is she gonna visit all the time? Like all these things worried about Blair. She's coming. She's beating me. She's gonna be out there like next week. She's like that though. That's her personality. Like I'm over here very like structured with my decision, weighing the pros and cons, thinking on it for several months, packing up my house slowly, writing a list of things I want in my new house. And Blair decides she's gonna go to college, applies, gets in, confirms, gets rid of her place here, gets a place in Nashville, sets up movers, packs her house, and is ready to go in about 10 days. What? Will you still have your shop girls employed in Cali or just the office in Tennessee? So if you don't know, currently my business has 2 locations. We have an Orange County location and a Tennessee location. So our Orange County team is the one that I already told you guys that I told them all at the beginning of the year that we were going to be moving. And the Tennessee team, we're actually hiring on new people. We've already hired 2 new girls since all of this went down to help the burden of losing some of the girls on the Orange County end. So we will probably actually continue to have 2 offices in Tennessee. We will have one in Nashville and one in Kingsport probably. It might all be in Nashville eventually, but that's kind of what we're thinking is there will be a Nashville and a Kingsport team. Someone said, what about your bathtub? Because guys, my tub here is like the best tub I've ever seen or had in my entire life. Like I've never even seen a better bathtub than this. And I will say the houses we're looking at in Nashville have beautiful bathtubs in the master bathroom and none of them come close to the one I have here. So I'm gonna be so sad, but that is total first world problems. Like worst case, I can install an identical bathtub if I want. I probably wouldn't do that because if it has a pretty bathtub, I'm probably just gonna be fine. But I am going to miss this tub because it is the deepest, widest, longest, best tub ever. It is like truly like a little swimming pool in my bathroom and I love it. Not a question, but what if James develops a Southern drawl? I hope he does. And I hope my Southern accent comes back a little bit more because I have been here for 10 years and I was in Ohio for 4 before that. So I've been out of the South for a long time and I love Southern accents. I just think they're so nice. So that's everything. A lot more of the questions were just things that I've already answered earlier in this video. So I hope that I answered all of your questions that you might have had in your head about why we are relocating, and I'm so excited about it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell to be notified, and I will see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.